Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Komm du noch?
If you've heard that sound from Babbel before, I bet you do. Babbel is the science-backed language learning app that actually works. With quick 10-minute lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts, Babbel gets you on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. With over 16 million subscriptions sold and a 20-day money-back guarantee, just start speaking another language with Babbel. Right now, up to 55% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/Spotify podcast. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify podcast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run, the Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, go ahead, shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code TheRunPodcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website, so I don't know about you, but basketball season rolling strong right now, so still want to go to a couple games. Gonna create that account and then use that code to save myself $20 when I go ahead and purchase that ticket. However, man, even though basketball season is rolling, the NFL season is coming to an end, bro. The last week of the NFL season is here. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man, it's low-key kind of sad. It's like it's a sad feeling watching the NBA or the NFL season come to an end like this because, you think about all of the fun times of your team winning games and pulling out these close games and overtime and all of that. Maybe you're a Jets fan, so you can't relate, or maybe, you're Titans fan, so you can't relate, but you might be happy the season's over. But I know even me being a Falcons fan and knowing my team has gotten eliminated, I'm still just somewhat bitter. It's bittersweet. The season's coming to an end, man. It's like, dang, at first I have nothing to cheer for as a Falcons fan because my team got eliminated. Thank you, Jaden Daniels. Now my team's eliminated, and now I get to watch this last week of football, and I'm just playing for fun watching my team and thinking about, well, maybe we'll be okay next year. We'll be fine next year. Penix is pretty good. We'll be okay. So now it's like a slippery slope of, oh, next year we'll get him, Tiger. It's like one of those things. So it's pretty bad, but I mean, maybe I should start expecting this. I don't know. I guess it was just a year for Falcons to be like, oh, something's actually going to happen. You got Kirk Cousins, new head coach. The expectations was high. You got Drake London, Bijan Robinson, who are playing great players, very young, talented. It was a lot going on where, the Falcons had a huge upside, but they had the chance to win 10 games. Oh my gosh, the first time the Falcons would have won 10 games since 2017, and of course they couldn't do it. Thank you, Jaden Daniels, once again. But it's just, man, it was rough, but it's bittersweet, man. It's bittersweet that the season's coming to an end, and I mean, it's been a bunch of 8-8, 7-10 seasons for the Atlanta Falcons, and for those other NFL fans out there who can relate, it's disappointing. Like when your team is supposed to live up to the hype of being good or somewhat of a competitor, and then they don't get into the playoffs. I mean, I think that's an underestimated conversation amongst NFL fans is like, that pain of not making the playoffs. Like Ravens fans, y'all good. Y'all know what it feels like. Steelers, y'all always in the playoffs, even though sometimes y'all be average. Chiefs, we know y'all straight. Bills, Lions is feeling that new feeling now. A lot of teams is beginning to feel that. Packers, y'all straight, y'all good. It's a lot of teams that has had that experience of getting to the playoffs every year. And if they don't make it, then it's like, this is a very disappointing season. But nobody talks about the teams where it's like, oh, you're supposed to be good. You're supposed to get to the playoffs, and then you don't make it. You fall short. You end up like the New York Jets. You were supposed to be really good. You had some high expectations, and you fell short. You end up like the Falcons. You were supposed to be really, really good. You were supposed to possibly go to the Super Bowl, and then you end up falling short. You end up like, what's another team who was supposed to be really good? The Cincinnati Bengals. They're in heavy playoff competition right now, trying to fight for survival and go to the playoffs. This game Saturday is about to depend on it, but nobody ever talks about the teams that don't get into the playoffs. Like, it's a lot to deal with. Week after week, your team's upsetting you sometimes. You getting frustrated. You watching them play bad. You trying to figure out what the hell's going on with the team and why they're not utilizing the best players. It's tough sometimes being on a team that's trying to compete to even get in the playoffs. Seahawks, y'all know the feeling. 49ers, oh, they going through it right now. Because they've been that team that's getting there, and now they can't even see it. So it's tough, man. People don't really talk about that pain. Cowboys fans know it all too well. And me watching my team not getting to the playoffs, it almost made me have some sympathy for the Cowboys fans, because every single year, you know, they got the craziest expectations of, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're about to be the best of the best and all of that. Like, Cowboys always got the craziest type of expectations. So I can't even imagine having those standards every single year and falling short every single year. So it's tough, man. And, you know, I don't think teams like that get enough credit. It's hard to focus on the good when your team is getting eliminated all the time. Like Chargers, huge upside, but they've been in that situation too, where they're just trying right there to get into the playoffs, but it's just not quite there. So I think check on your friends, bro. If your team is in the playoffs, you're doing good. Maybe you won in fantasy. Check on your friends. Check on the Green Bay Packers fans who's struggling and possibly about to get put out and all of that. Check on the Seahawks. Check on them Falcons fans. Check on the Chargers fans. Check on the Bengals fans. Check on your fans who are fans of teams, or check on your friends who are fans of teams that didn't make the playoffs. Because just know, bro, they over here hurting. Have fun. Make fun of their team. Laugh at them. Joke with them. Talk about, oh, your team trash. We beat y'all. We swept y'all in the division. Whatever. All of that stuff is cool, but make sure they okay. Because I tell you, bro, I had the flu when I seen the Falcons get eliminated. That shit was just not cool, bro. Oh, no man on earth should ever had to go through that. Watching their team lose and get eliminated from the playoffs in overtime. At that, thank you, Jaden Daniels. And then also having the flu on top of that. So not only are you sick from watching your team lose, but you're also sick because you can't breathe straight. You can't even get out a sentence because your throat's jacked up. You're coughing, sneezing, nose stuff. No man on earth should ever have to go through that experience of watching their team get eliminated while they're already sick. That is just, damn it. Jaden Daniels, I'm going to hold a grudge against you for a long, long time because of that. That was not cool at all. Like that was rough to go through. That was rough to go through. But there were some good things. There were some fun things in the season. And you know, before I talk about all the bad, I just want to highlight some of the good. One of my favorite moments from this regular season, just from football. And it was watching Kirk Cousins his first few weeks with the Atlanta Falcons, bro. You can't tell me. That was the most fun time as a Falcons fan and probably as a fan in the NFL, watching the Falcons go crazy like that in the first 4 weeks of the season like they did, bro. And particularly that game against Tampa Bay on Thursday Night Football. That was a classic. Let's be real. They delivered a classic. Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, man, combined for 7 touchdowns. It was a shootout on a Thursday night football game, something we haven't seen on Thursday night football in a long time. It was a high-scoring game. Kirk was dealing. Baker Mayfield was dealing. The game went to overtime. Falcons end up winning. Then you got Kirk Cousins swag surfing. He had the crowd lit. He had the fans lit. The narrative was the Falcons is the best, one of the best offenses, and they possibly going to the Super Bowl. That was a fun time. Obviously, We see how that played out. Kirk got sent to the bench because he couldn't get his A game back together. Falcons missed the playoffs. Buccaneers in the playoffs. Yeah, it was a fun time. Another good memory too was watching the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. That was another shootout. The first game, honestly, both games were shootouts, but the first game when the Bengals were at home, it was just crazy. Ravens ended up coming back from down, I think, 14, and it was just a shootout. We seen Lamar Jackson have some crazy dynamic plays. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase showed off in the dynamic duo that they were. They ended up throwing crazy amount of yardage, man, and it was just fun to watch. It was fun to watch. But, I mean, hey, man, the season is coming to an end, and I'm sad to see it come to an end, but I will say this. All right, so since my team is out of the playoffs, oh, man. Thank God this is a podcast and it wasn't live. I just almost died. Still recovering from the flu, if you can't tell. But since my team's not in the playoffs in the Atlanta Falcons, I don't have a team to cheer for. I'm not cheering for the Atlanta Falcons. They're not going to be playing. So I think, for me, I'm ready to just see history, man. Let's see this Chiefs three-peat. I want to see the Chiefs three-peat, make history. I know everybody hates Pat Mahomes, but this is the main reason why I want to see them. Obviously for the history. And then because I usually always cheer for the underdogs. Underdogs right now, I think Bills have enough hype to be considered a team that's not an underdog. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are a top seed. I don't think they're considered an underdog. Everybody's been counting the Chiefs out, including myself. I've been saying the Chiefs have been playing to the level of their competition. They haven't looked like a championship team. And I think going into any matchup that they play, they're probably going to be the underdogs. Only thing that people are holding them as a threat is because they have the experience in the playoffs and they've won 2 Super Bowls in back-to-back years. So I'm hoping that they can continue on and possibly three-peat. And let's wrap it up, man. I think that'd be dope for the Kansas City Chiefs. But anyway, look, man, we got some more stuff coming up. Obviously, some news. And then the NBA, they've had a ratings issue. I haven't really got to touch on this issue, but we got some more information on this ratings issue with the NBA. And I'll tell you exactly what they need to do to fix this. But stay tuned. It's halftime. We'll be right back. And we got some news for the run coming up. All right, man, so news for the run. I honestly don't even remember where I left off with news for the run of how updated y'all were on the playoffs and all of that. But anyway, the games that matter. We're going to start with the quarterfinals because Texas, they just beat Arizona State in a close matchup, 39-31. Ohio State, they smacked up Oregon. Man, they smacked Oregon, 41-21. And looking at this game, I didn't even get a chance to really watch the game because as soon as I was about to cut it on, Ohio State was already up 23 points to nothing. So I was like, okay, no point in me actually sitting here and watching the game anymore. It's over with. Then you got Penn State. They beat Boise State. Pretty solid game, but they took care of business 31-14. And then right now, as we speak, you got Georgia playing Notre Dame. Notre Dame has the lead right now, 13-3 over Georgia. The winner of this game between Georgia and Notre Dame will go on to play Penn State. And then in the semifinals matchup, we'll be watching a Texas versus Ohio State matchup in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. And then at Penn State, Notre Dame or Georgia will be that Orange Bowl game. And that's just the final matchups before the championship game. So the 12-team format, man, I'm curious of what y'all think about it now, man, because like I said in the beginning, it's just a lot of football. It's cool. I'm glad we get a lot of football to watch, and we got a lot of football to watch. But it was also matchups that just did not matter and like that we knew were just going to be a belt-to-ass situation. Like Clemson, Texas, we knew that was going to be a belt-to-ass situation. Penn State, SMU, we knew that was a beatdown coming. Notre Dame, Indiana, like these matchups, if you will, is just a waste of time. Like, it was a waste of time. And it's dope we got to watch this. Dope we got to bet on it and all of that stuff. But at the same time, bro, you could have saved some of these. Ohio State, Oregon, that would have been we thought it was going to be a really good matchup, but it ended up being a blowout. Penn State, Boise State, easy road. But honestly, we shouldn't even seen a Ohio State versus Oregon because those are two elite championship teams. Both of those teams could have competed in a championship. So just weird to me how they organized it. I think we definitely see some changes after this first year and seeing the way that the committee organized the playoffs. I definitely think we'll see, one seed have an easier route than having to play an elite team in an elite school like Ohio State. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that. But obviously, in the NFL, this is the last week in the NFL, as I mentioned, and there's some teams like we know have guaranteed already going to the playoffs, and we'll see who that will be. Also, some of these matchups is going to be a last-minute decision, so we'll see who that's going to be too after Week 14. Or Week 18, I'm sorry. So some of the matchups you can be prepared to watch. Starting off this Saturday, you got the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens have pretty much secured a playoff spot. Win or lose this game, it's not going to matter. They have secured a playoff spot, so they'll be good either way. But I don't think they really bring the full house against the Browns, knowing that either way it goes, they're safe in the playoffs. And it's not for a number one seed in the AFC. So either way, they're going to be playing in that wild card matchup. Doesn't matter win or lose against the Cleveland Browns. However, a matchup that will have a huge say is the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this is going to be a good matchup to watch, not just because it's a division rival, but also because the Bengals have been trying to get in the playoffs. Bengals, man, they're on a huge win streak right now. I think they won 4 straight games. And so far, they're depending on other teams to lose right now. They got to hope for Miami to lose, and that will also benefit them in the long run too, of possibly getting into the playoffs. But if Miami ends up with the same record as the Bengals, the Miami Dolphins, they do have the tiebreaker over Cincinnati, just based on the best win percentage in the conference games. Because the Bengals have lost more conference games than the Miami Dolphins lost in their conference, the Dolphins would get the go-ahead to get in the playoffs. But also the Denver Broncos, they would have to win as well against the Kansas City Chiefs, which will most likely happen in order to secure their spot in the playoffs and for the Bengals to actually get in the playoffs as well. Bengals, it's rough. It's rough. I don't know if they really get into the playoffs because it's heavily reliant on if the Chiefs can beat the Denver Broncos. And obviously, we know usually the Chiefs would be able to beat the Broncos, but the Chiefs plan on resting everybody because whoever wins that last seed in the AFC, they're the team that's going to have to play the Chiefs at some point. And if I'm the Chiefs, I don't want to have to play against the Bengals at any point. I want to go against the teams I know I can beat, which is probably the Denver Broncos. So, it's going to be tough there. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But that Saturday's football. Sunday, still struggling, as you can tell. But Sunday, we got the Carolina Panthers versus the Atlanta Falcons. This game doesn't really matter too much. Falcons, they got to win out. They were supposed to beat the Commanders if they wanted any shot at being in the playoffs. But since they lost against the Commanders, if they beat the Panthers, they have to hope for a Tampa Bay Buccaneers loss against the New Orleans Saints in order to possibly even get in the playoffs. But let's keep it a buck. I highly doubt the Saints is going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No, it's just not going to happen. And the Buccaneers are at home right now, so not going to happen. Commanders play the Cowboys. Game does not much matter. Commanders are kind of already in the playoffs. Bears play the Packers. Packers are solid right now. Texans secured. They play the Titans, Jaguars, Colts. Not really a game that matters much. Neither of these teams are going to see the playoffs. Bills, Patriots. Bills already secured. They don't have to worry about anything. Giants, Eagles. Eagles are already secured. This game is not going to matter much. Saints, Buccaneers. Buccaneers have to win this game in order to possibly make the playoffs. Because if the Falcons win, then, it could be a completely different situation if the Buccaneers lose. You got the Chiefs, Broncos. This game does not matter. But the Broncos, if they win, they're in. And Chiefs, they got a bye week, first week either way, so it doesn't matter for them. Chargers, Raiders. Chargers, I believe Chargers got to win this game here. Seahawks and Rams. Both of them, I think the Rams have secured the playoff spot just because they won in the division the most. But this game, I don't think this game is that crucial. Jets, Dolphins, nothing to worry about there. Cardinals, 49ers, nothing to worry about there. And then the best for last, man. Excited about this. The NFL actually hit it right on the nail. They finally got it right to send us home and send us off to the playoffs. and to give us a finale of the regular season, the Detroit Lions versus the Minnesota Vikings. Whoever wins is dropping down to the 5th seed. And it's crazy to think that a team with 14 wins will fall all the way to the 5th seed. But both of these teams have been on a tear. They've been killing it in their division. And the winner of this game here, this last game of the NFL regular season, will have the advantage. So they will move to the number 2 seed, and the loser will move to the number 5 seed. And most likely we'll be playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. So it's going to get wicked. I really don't know who's going to win between the Vikings and the Lions, man. Lions are hurt right now. They are beat down. So they really need, man, they are beat down. They are beat down. So they don't need to be on the road at all going into the playoffs. But the Vikings have been just super solid defensively, offensively. We've seen Sam Darnold go crazy, and both ends of the ball have been fairly solid for the Minnesota Vikings. The game is going to be in Ford Field, so it'll be interesting to see, man. I don't know who's going to win that, but I don't really even have a hope either. I just want to watch a good football game. That's it. All right, so let's do this, man, because we got the NBA here. In the NBA, so as you know, the ratings in the NBA have been on a steady decline for some time now. Now, in the NBA, fans have been speculating what's going on. Why nobody want to watch the NBA no more? What's wrong with the game? Is the players at fault for this? What's happening in the NBA where nobody's watching the games anymore and fans are not clicking in to see these star players play every single night? So I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on. And I don't know if this is the exact reason of why the NBA ratings are down, but here's what I really think is the case. The reason number one why the ratings are down in the NBA is because everybody is playing the exact same brand of basketball. You look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Phoenix Suns, the Washington Wizards, the Charlotte Hornets. You look at any team in the NBA, everybody is jacking up 30-something threes a game, and it's just not fun to watch a team jack up threes the entire game. I think this is also a reason why we see so many blowouts in the NBA. That's another reason why ratings are probably down, because it's a blowout every other night in the NBA when you're expecting to watch good basketball. When teams are shooting 30-plus threes in every single game that's on the floor, one, it's not entertaining. Two, if a team gets hot, they're up 40 points in the first quarter. If a team is broke and they're missing shots, they're down 30 points in the first quarter. It's not cool. So because everybody's just shooting threes, the game is no longer unique to each team. Like, you look at different eras of the NBA. For example, my favorite era, early 2000s all the way up until like mid 2010s. One of my favorite eras of basketball. I think it was one of the most talented. There was still defense in the game, and teams played different brands of basketball. We've seen the Warriors become probably the most popular run and gun team, but if you were the Detroit Pistons, like I was a fan of the Detroit Pistons, you knew that wasn't y'all style. Y'all style wasn't to shoot a bunch of threes in the game. Your style was to play defense, get the ball in the paint, get easy buckets. And if you played a team like the Golden State Warriors, you knew, hey, these boys like to run. They like to shoot. Now it's everybody likes to shoot, and that's all we're watching in the NBA is just 3-point shot after 3-point shot after 3-point shot after 3-point shot. And the game in the NBA right now, it's become such a live and die by the 3-ball type of game. Like, it's causing blowouts every single night. And it's like players not playing defense because they down 30 at halftime. And it's just, it's not fun. It's not fun. It's hard to have a league that's entertaining when it's a blowout every single game. And here's the resolution, though. This is where I think the NBA could really, shake things up and stir some things up and get viewers to really tune into the NBA again and watch what a lot of people think is the most talented era of basketball. You got guys who can do everything. You got 7-footers who can shoot threes and all of this skill. You got so much skill in the NBA right now, but yet nobody wants to watch it. Here's what you got to do. One, I think you need to allow hand checking again. First, you got to fix the defense. Allow people to hand check. Allow people to play defense. Allow defenders who can't guard guards or people 1 through 5 to put a hand on a defender and hand check. Yes, some people may say, oh, well, they're not good defenders if you can't guard people without hand checking. Well, yeah, look at the defense that we're watching now. Nobody's a good defender. You got 1 or 2 players in the league in the past 7 years who were considered a good defender. But now nobody's a good defender because nobody's giving effort. Defense is an effort-based thing. If you allow guys to just put a hand on a hip or just hand on the arm, hand check, whatever. It's going to make it more difficult to score. Therefore, guys are going to have to be more strategic, and teams are going to have to be more strategic about how they're going to score the basketball. It'll be no more just run up court, shoot a three, and then, hey, that's it. No, you're going to have to actually run a play and try and get an easy bucket, and then it's actually going to be difficult because guys are playing basketball and they're playing defense to stop you to get a bucket. Any of those pick switches where you're trying to isolate a big, no. None of that stuff gonna be as easy no more because they can keep a hand on you. Allow the hand check it and quit being so damn soft and allow teams to actually play defense. I think when you allow the league to play defense again, then the games are gonna become more intense. You're gonna see guys get frustrated. You're gonna see guys find more complex ways to score the ball. Because think of this, when is the last time you actually watched multiple players in the league use scoring moves? I think back then, the Paul Pierce, Carmelo Anthony, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, even Allen Iverson, just like some of the most elite scorers. Kevin Durant, when his early ages was there in the league. Like, you think of all these elite scorers, Melo, KD, Kobe, all of these guys. They had legitimate moves. Even Paul Pierce, legitimate moves on the offensive end that they needed in order to score the ball. Now, guys are just running behind picks and just letting it fly. Or if they run to the cup, throw the ball up and it's a foul because somebody touched them. Like, I think that's, at least for me, that's why I've kind of lost a little bit of interest in the NBA compared to other sports like the NFL, because it's just not, we're not seeing defense, bro. If you're someone who watched all these different eras of basketball in the NBA, you can clearly see this. You can understand why ratings are down right now, because the games aren't intense, blowouts. People aren't playing defense at all. If you come from that era of you were watching early Pistons, or you was watching even as early as or even as late as the 2016 Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers, like, you seen defense being played in the NBA. So you understand, like, okay, I know what an intense game of basketball looks like. I know what teams actually running plays to get open and get the ball inside and play outside. You actually know what all of that stuff looks like. And most of all, you know what guys utilizing moves looks like. Like, you remember seeing a Chris Bosh actually do some post moves. Kevin Love doing some post moves. LeBron down low doing some post moves. Carmelo Anthony, Kobe Bryant. You remember seeing guys actually utilize moves down low in the paint. But now there's no incentive for that because it's really not necessary when you got people just shooting threes every game. And that's how you win your games? It's lame. It's lame, bro. It's not fun to watch. And I'm going to still watch it, of course, but I'm just saying, we trying to figure out why the ratings are down. I think that's exactly why the ratings are down, because the games aren't intense. Nobody cares. If you don't care on the court, or if you look like you don't care on the court, why the hell would fans start caring what's going down on the court either if they're watching the game? They're not going to care at all. So it's like I don't know, man. I think that's where it starts of fixing it. Is you got to fix the defense first before you allow anything else in the NBA. And then stop calling these soft fouls, bro. Let guys hoop. Back then, at one point in the NBA, there was maybe 3 or 4 guys in the entire league who got unfair whistles. Maybe 3 or 4 in the entire league who got the unfair whistles and the soft calls every time they go to the cup. Now there's one of those guys on every single team, and it's just stopping the game, and it's no, bro. Don't nobody want to watch that. Don't nobody want to watch people shoot free throws all game. We trying to watch people actually score and play intense, full basketball games. And until we get that as viewers, I think that's, as long as we gonna see the ratings continue to plummet. Until we see guys actually playing intense, full basketball games, then that's when we'll see the ratings kind of shoot back up and people actually care for the NBA again. But right now, man, nah, it's become lame, bro. It's become lame. I don't know any other way to explain it, but I'm a huge basketball fan, so I'm always gonna watch basketball. But I really believe just because teams are playing the same exact way, the same exact brand of basketball from first seed to 30th team ranked in the scoring. Everybody's shooting 30+ threes in a game. I think that's why it's so boring to watch in the NBA now. And I think that's why viewership has plummeted. And also because there's no defense. There's no defense at all. And it's no intensity. Like, allow guys to hand check. Stop calling all the soft calls for every single player on every team every time they go to the cup. Like, you got to make the game more intense, and you got to make people want to care. And if guys on the floor look like they don't care, then viewers are not going to care about the game at all until we see the finals. When it shows that, okay, everybody obviously cares of what's going on. So, I don't know, man. That's my theory on it. That's my thought on it. I'm going to watch the NBA. I'm just an NBA fan. I've loved basketball. I've always loved it, but I think that's where they went wrong. So I'm gonna leave y'all with this, man, on a positive note. And then the positive note I have for y'all is just this, man. Man, struggling still. When you lack patience, you become petty. So find a way to make sure you can be patient. Whether it's with yourself, with other people, whatever the case is. When you lack patience, you become petty. So if you're trying to accomplish something and you're trying to get to your goals and you're impatient about that, sometimes you become petty. You might want to take a different route. Sometimes you might want to try and cheat the grind, whatever the case is. So I'm going to just say that, man. Find some patience to make sure you rejuvenate, because the last thing you want to do is miss what's meant for you because you were being impatient in your process. So I'm going to leave it at that. Accept it however you want to accept it. But other than that, man, finally glad to be back. Boy, I was down bad from the fucking flu. Oh, man. I'm still struggling a little bit, but good enough to actually get on the pod. So, man, thank God for that. But, yeah, man, we'll be back later on next week. I'm going to enjoy some football. College is going on right now, so I'm going to cut this game on with Notre Dame and see what's going on. But other than that, I'll see y'all later on next week. And so on and so on and so on.